Delisha Hinton, and as Dr. Marian said, I'm the relationship manager for K through 12 and DEI for Wolfspeed. Next slide, please.
So we always begin with our why. So in curriculum and innovation, we want to meet and exceed growth or maintain a C or better in all of our schools. And that the schools will meet and exceed the federal long-term goals in reading as indicated by NCDPI for each identified group of students in an effort to close the district's achievement gap. So you will see shortly how our partnership with Wolfspeed will help us achieve those goals.
So again, welcome. Just a brief bio of myself. Prior to joining Wolfspeed, so I joined Wolfspeed back in October of this past year. Prior to joining, I worked at NC State for a little over 11 years, really on the focus of undergraduate recruitment, diversity, and education, and then also on the scholarship component. And so a lot of my work from NC State connects right back to the work that I'm doing at Wolfspeed. Next slide, please. So I think everybody's familiar at least with the name. What we do may be questionable, and hopefully I'm gonna clear the air and share a little bit about what we're doing at Wolfspeed. Next slide. Okay, there's a video on this slide. Let's see if it plays. Slows down. Oh, maybe not. I don't think it came through. Okay, we'll keep on going. So I'm gonna tell you our purpose. So if you'll keep clicking, we harness the power of silicon carbide to change the world for the better. Wolfspeed is a semiconductor manufacturing company. Our real purpose is being able to create what we better know as chips, but we really actually create them out of silicon carbide. There's a unique material, there's a unique factor of silicon carbide compared to making chips out of silicon. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give you a kind of a short overview of silicon carbide and what that difference is between the silicon is. Next slide. When we talk about chips, when we talk about semiconductors, we're really talking about how do we produce them for an electric industry. Many of us have heard of electric vehicles. We think about how do you get more miles per charge, and that's what we're really looking at from a silicon carbide perspective. Silicon carbide has the ability to have a higher power density. Essentially, it can take on medium to high energy. So when you think about large power vehicles, from an electric vehicle to something that can be out in the agriculture field, we're looking at how do you create these chips for some of these products that are on the screen, and that takes, for us, being able to actually expand and grow. And so that comes in hand with us being able to move into Chatham County and specifically building in Siler City. Next slide. A little bit about Wolfspeed. I will tell you, so the company is over 35 years old. You may have formerly known as CREE, so the LED lights that were very big a few years ago, still are, but CREE is where we originated from. Our founders were out of NC State University. About 2 years ago, we sold off our LED and our lighting part of the business, really with the sole focus of the silicon carbide and creating semiconductor chips. This component of the business has been part of the company ever since the start. This is the time where some of our founders would say, we really are focusing on power. We're really focusing on how do you create these chips so we can create a more sustainable future for an electric industry. Next slide. So what are we doing in Siler City? Of course, we are building a very large facility. Next slide. With the facility that we are building, it is a materials facility. It will be known as the JP, so it's named after one of our founders, John Palmer, who recently passed away, and this is actually his area of expertise. The facility, it will be more than 10 times our current capacity that we have. It will span about 450 acres, and size-wise of the building, in perspective, it's about 39 football fields. It is a large facility. This particular facility, it will be focused on materials, which means us crystal growth. Silicon carbide is a material that we actually have to grow in-house. We grow it at about half the temperature of the sun. So it does take a decent amount of energy and power and knowledge to go into growing it. Once we grow those crystals, we have to slice them. And so we slice them into something that's called a wafer. It better looks like a CD. From there, those wafers, they'll go up to New York. But out of Siler City, it is going to be the materials expansion. And so that's really going to focus on growing crystals and slicing them really right here in the backyard As you all have heard, I've been in constant conversations with the Chatham County Schools. I visited quite a few schools, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about what it looks like for our career paths and these educational pathways. Next slide. This one I think has animation in it, so we're going to talk through it. So with this particular slide, if you'll click. Okay, so what it looks like for us in terms of Wolfspeed, really it's all roads lead to Wolfspeed. We have careers where you could come in an operator position directly out of high school. So an individual could finish with their high school diploma, they can have a GED, and they can join Wolfspeed as an operator. Next. Keep going. Okay. What will happen next is if an individual joins us and they say they want to continue growing their career, they have the opportunity to go into an apprenticeship, or they could go through an associate's degree. We do have a colleague of mine who works on the community college and military side, and so building relationships with Central Carolina Community College for our associate's degree in terms of us being able to partner with the community college. We provide educational assistance, and so tuition reimbursement where individuals can go through, complete their associates, and then go into a technician role, which would be a higher level position from the operator. You want to keep clicking a few more times. Okay. So with moving forward in terms of the technician, an individual can continue their career into an engineering role. And that, of course, does require an individual to go through in obtaining their 4-year degree. We do have a partnership with NC State University, North Carolina A&T, and Elon University. Particularly NC State University, we do have an education sponsorship, and so that is something where with some of their specific engineering degree programs, it is a full ride or a tuition paid. That is something that we provide through our company for our employees who are able to obtain that and decide to go that route. Really, this particular roadmap is to display that there's a lot of different ways that you can enter into Wolfspeed. So there's not one set path that you have to join. You can come in at any point in time within your educational career, but you can also continue your education if that's what you would like to do. Next slide. In terms of an operator role is our entry-level skilled labor position. These individuals, what we like to say, you'll help create the ingredients that our innovators and doers are using to power a cleaner, better future for all of us right here in our Durham and our RTP fabs. And then of course, adding on Siler City as well. The particular fab that's being built, it is a manufacturing facility, so it does have a manufacturing schedule. That means that individuals will work a 12-hour shift beginning at either 6 or 7 a.m. and then ending their day 12 hours from there. It's very much a team-based work environment, and there are continuous learning and opportunities. So if an individual, like I said previously, would like to continue their education, they have the opportunity to do so. Operator-based pay, it starts at $16.15 an hour. There is a differential of 5% for any person who works a day shift, 15% of differential for anyone who works a night shift. So that base pay is strictly base pay, and I will say it does bump up. Pay increases do occur for individuals who come in within that particular role after staying with us for 4 months. Next slide. Our technician roles, these are a little bit more hands-on. So these are some of our individuals who I would say are actually troubleshooting and solving some of the issues that may take place with the tools or the machines that work in the facility. It breaks off into these particular 4 different areas of manufacturing, process equipment, and automation. The preferred degrees for a technician role, quite a few of them are actually out of Central Carolina Community College, and then my colleague who's working on the community colleges and military side, she's been in constant conversation of what does it look like for us to be able to connect some of these along with myself from the K through 12 standpoint. Next slide. The technician base pay for this one is slightly higher, and so this particular role, trying to see where I put it, is $21.25. In terms of the base pay. Again, there is a 5% differential for day shift, 15% for night shift. There's also incentive days for both technician and operators. So this is where you can get 1.5 or 2 times your rate for certain holidays, and then individuals do receive paid time off, whether it's through vacation or holiday. A technician role also has performance-based merit and opportunities for a bonus within it, within their package. Next slide. Our engineers. So again, breaking off into 4 different areas: operations, automation, facilities, and IT. Individuals can go through, I would say, any one of those degree programs that are listed on the slide. It is not a comprehensive list. Our list expands beyond that in terms of the engineering, but the fields that we really look at heavily are going to be electrical, your material science engineering, and your chemical engineering as well. Next slide. So what does it look like for building out this pipeline? So yes, there's a lot of conversations that are taking place. Myself and Michelle have talked pretty frequently, I would say, over the past 2 months, and then I've made quite a few visits over the past 2.5 months back to Chatham County, visiting to a variety of schools. And so I have the schools that I've been able to visit over the past few months on the top portion, and then I've had to reschedule a few visits to some of the local high schools, preparing for those up in the fall semester. But ways that we are connecting and the ways in which we're going to look at building this partnership is we already sponsored the North Carolina Science Festival out of Wolfspeed, and this is an opportunity that Chatham County Schools can actually take part in having science kits within the school settings. First Robotics as well, we are a sponsor, and so we're looking at how do we actually tie it directly back into Chatham County for the First Robotics teams that are here in the county. Boys and Girls Club, mentoring, and the class presentations and career fairs. All of that, again, is to be able to share some of this information and those different career opportunities in the educational pathways. Pre-apprenticeships and apprenticeships, I will say, are underway and under work. We do have a signed agreement with the state of North Carolina for apprenticeships, and we are working on our pre-apprenticeship program and what that looks like. Few little last things is on the diversity, equity, and inclusion side. So there's a National Society of Black Engineers, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and Society of Women Engineers. Each one of those organizations actually has a K-12 component, and so I have an intern who's actually looking into that over the summer of being able to connect that back into the schools.